Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances, all for Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak something on this topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I will do my best to just, deliver what I have heard. So it's not my own, I guess, my own words, but it is something that I've heard and also how I reflected upon it. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for hearing this and then taking the time out to hear this from me. I really appreciate it. Not only, devotees who have joined on this Zoom call, but also devotees that will be listening afterwards via YouTube. So with that, we'll start our our verses today is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 23, verses 35 to 38. So with that, I will start. Bhartu purastadatmanam Sri Sahasravritam tada nishamya tadyoga yagatim samshayam pratyapadyata. Synonyms: Bhartu, of her husband, Purustat, in the presence, Atmanam, herself, Sri Sahasra, by 1,000 maids, Vritam, surrounded, Tada, then, Nishamya, seen, Tat, his, Yoga Gatim, yogic power, Samshayam Pratyapadyata, she was amazed. Translation and purport by His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. She was amazed to find herself surrounded by 1,000 maids in the presence of her husband and to witness his yogic power. Purport: Devotee saw everything miraculously done, yet when brought before her husband, she could understand that it was all due to his due to his yogic mystic power. She understood that nothing was impossible for a yogi like Kardama Muni. Text 36 to 37. Satam krita mala snanam vibhrajantim apurvavat atmano bibhratim rupam sambita ruchirastanim vidyadhari sahasrena sevyamanam suvasasam jata bhavo vimanam tad arohayad amitrahan. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sa, the sage, Tam, her, Devhuti, Kritamala Snanam, bathed clean, Vibhrajantim, shining forth, Apurvavat, unprecedentedly, Atmana, her own, Vibhratim, possessing, Rupam, beauty, Samvita, girded, Ruchira, charming, Stanim, with breast, Vidyadhari, of Gandharva girls, Sahasrena, by 1,000, Sevyamanam, being waited upon, Suvasasam, dressed in excellent robes, Jatabhava, struck with fondness, Vimanam, airplane like a mansion, that, Arohayat, he put her on board, Amitrahan, O destroyer of the enemy. The sage could see that Devhuti had washed herself clean and was shining forth as though no longer his former wife. She had regained her original beauty as the daughter of a prince, dressed in excellent robes, her charming breast duly girded. She was waited upon by 1,000 Gandharva girls. O destroyer of the enemy, his fondness for her grew, and he placed her on the aerial mansion. Purport: Before her marriage, when Devhuti was brought by her parents before the sage Kardama, she was the perfectly beautiful princess, and Kardama Muni remembered her former beauty. But after her marriage, when she was engaged in the service of Kardama Muni, she neglected to care for her body like a princess, since there was no means for such care. Her husband was living in a cottage, and since she was always engaged in serving him, her royal beauty disappeared, and she became just like an ordinary maidservant. Now, after being bathed by the Gandharva girls by the order of Kardama Muni's yogic power, she regained her beauty, and Kardama Muni felt attracted to the beauty she had shown before the marriage. The real beauty of a young woman is her breasts. When Kardama Muni saw the breasts of his wife so nicely decorated, increasing her beauty many times, he was attracted, even though he was a great sage. Shripad Shankaracharya has therefore warned the transcendentalists, the one who is after transcendental realization should not be attracted by the raised breasts of a woman because they're nothing but an interaction of fat and blood within the body. And text 38, Tasminnalupta mahima priyayanurakato Tasminnalupta mahima priyayanurakto Vidyadharibhirupachirna vapurvimane Babrajau Tacha Kumudana Van Apichyas Tara Viravrita Ivodupatirna Bhasta Tasmin in that, Alupta, not lost, Mahima, glory, Priya, with his beloved consort, Anukrataha, attached, Vidyadharibhihi, by the Gandharva girls, Upachirna, waited upon, Bapu, his person, Vimane, on the airplane, Babraja, he shone, Utkacha, open, Kumut, Gana, Van, the moon, which is followed by rows of lilies, Apicyaha, very charming, Tarabhihi, by stars, Avrita, surrounded, Eva, as Udupati, the moon, the chief of the stars, Nabhasta, in the sky. Though seemingly attached to his beloved consort while serving the Gandharva girls, the sage did not lose his glory, which was mastery over his self. In the aerial mansion, Pradama Muni with his consort shone as charmingly as the moon in the midst of the stars in the sky, which causes rows of lilies to open in ponds at night. Perfect. The mansion was in the sky, and therefore the comparison to the full moon and stars is very beautifully composed in this verse. Pradama Muni looked like the full moon, and the girls who surrounded his wife, seemed just like the stars. On a full moon night, the stars and the moon together form a beautiful constellation. Similarly, in that aerial mansion in the sky, Pradama Muni, with his beautiful wife and the damsels surrounding them, appeared like the moon and stars on a full moon night. Okay, so that's that is all the verses, and I will stop sharing now. We will begin prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurandi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sukhe Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. The purports and the text are in the verses are very, the purport has been very clearly defined by Srila Prabhupada. So today I'll be just, reflecting, I'll share my reflections on these verses and what I was thinking of. So, I was thinking like how important it is for anyone to try to become, when someone is trying to become spiritually advanced, that no matter what distractions may come your way, you should never forget your goal. And it is very important for someone to recognize that there is a distraction and also understand these pitfalls. So we always understand that Srila Prabhupada has, he says that there's nothing impossible for the devotees to achieve. So keeping that in mind, we can see that how Kardama Muni in these verses had attained such mystic powers that he made his wife full of beauty and made her attractive, her desire to beget a child. And in addition to his fondness, like, when he made her this beautiful person, like how when he saw her first, in addition to this, his fondness, grew for her. And he made this aerial mansion and placed her on that aerial mansion. So with all this, one may ask, due to apparent reasons, of course, that if Gardama Muni, did Gardama Muni fell down from his spiritual practice? Why is because, we may ask this because our limited, we're using our limited materialistic intelligence to understand this pastime. But, it is not like that. So Gardama Muni, he had his end goal in mind. And this is something that we all must learn. At least I can speak for myself, that on the path of bhakti, one may get some puja lab or pratishtha, or even some mystic powers. But, they should understand that they are all material and they're only flickering. So it's very easy to understand this when a materialistic person who is wanting all these things, that's very normal for someone to think, okay, yes, that's what they want. But even devotees get these on this path of the spiritual, on the spiritual path. So when one grows through this devotional service in their practice, Krishna and Guru can sometimes empower them with some great big service. And by Guru's blessings and Krishna's mercy, they may even successfully perform that service and complete that service. And that's when they get some big respect from other devotees, or they get some higher position in the congregation, and whatnot and whatnot. So, but if they recognize that subtly, this is subtle again, so they're liking that. If they understand even subtly that they're liking that, or they want this more and more, this Pujala Pratishtha, then they can subtly get attached to this Labh and Pratishtha. So if they don't understand it, they will get attached to this Labh and Pratishtha. So this is why it's very important to understand that when this kind of things happen, what to do when it happens. So first is recognizing, and then knowing what to do when that happens. So one must understand and be convinced. So what do you do when you get all this Labh and Pratishtha? So you have to be convinced and understand that all of these qualities, the strength that you may have, your intelligence that you may have, it is all coming by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada's teachings and blessings of Guru Maharaj. So, when we should know how to redirect the glories to Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, the devotees, again, will, go through this pitfall and have a pitfall. And of course, there are many pitfalls in spiritual life. And until we become aware, it becomes very difficult to overcome these pitfalls. Srila Prabhupada always says, he said before, that if we're not aware of these pitfalls, then it's like when we try to row an anchored boat. What really happens when the boat we're trying to row and move forward, and it is tied with an anchor. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just going to stay there. So to move forward, we must first remove that anchor. So we must understand that our boat of devotional service, in order for it to keep growing and move forward, we must remove this anchor, which can come as in the form of puja, labh, and pratishtha, which again comes automatically by this devotional service and the empowerment of and blessings of Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. But we need to first be recognizing that we are tied to this anchor. And that's the only time we can understand that we need to remove it. Because if we don't understand we're tied, we're not going to be able to remove it. So of course, Krishna has his ways in those instances too, to help the devotees come out of this by teaching some lesson. If they don't understand and realize that they're tied by this anchor, they'll be taught some lesson by Krishna in some time in future. But until that happens, there may be so much that would have happened in between, that it would make it hard for that mentality to go away. And that impression that is, that has been on our mind for so long, to get rid of it. So, why not be cognizant from the start of this and understanding, pray to Krishna, help me understand when this kind of things happen. Because Krishna says, right, in chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So, people who want to really, understand him and go to him, he gives them the intelligence by how to go to him. So, this is when we understand that we may hit some pitfalls or distractions. We need to have a prayerful mood to help us, I guess, to have an understanding of, hey Krishna, I may be feeling these things, and I'm recognizing that I'm feeling these things. So I don't want to feel it. And then at that time, redirect those glories. So it's very important to recognize if we're subtly anchored to these, and then remove that anchor by, again, redirecting the glories to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev. So now coming back to these verses, Kardama Muni knew very well what his goal was and why he was doing what he was doing. There was a reason behind it which would help him get his goal of leaving the household life and perform his austerities again. So he did not really get distracted and attached to his wife or his property when he created these things. So he knew in the back of his mind very well that all this is by the blessings of Krishna, and that he was empowered with this mystic power by the mercy of the Lord. So in this way, when we also understand that our goal, of to achieve Krishna, then we must be very cognizant, not only, understanding the apparent distractions. So when there's miseries, of course, sometimes it's very easy to understand that, okay, there's some lesson for me, and Krishna is trying to teach me something out of this. So how to, and purify me, Krishna tries to purify his devotees out of those lessons and the miseries that he may be giving up, apparent miseries that come our way. But so it's very easy to understand that. But when in the subtle way, when these even, puja la pratishtha comes, it's not very easy to recognize. So we must understand and recognize that even the good things that come our way is only by the mercy of, Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Otherwise, we don't have any strength or power to or intelligence for anything, honestly. But we may say that, right? In the beginning, especially, we may say that, but they say this, right? That fake it till you make it. So keep on saying this and endeavoring for this. When you keep on endeavoring for something like this, and recognizing these subtle, things the good things that may come your way, recognizing that they are distractions and they may cause some pitfalls. So we need to be very, alert that this is happening, and and then redirect those glories. Because when we redirect and understand that this is not our words, this is not what my teaching is, right? It's not my teaching. It's not, what I learned or what I'm saying. I'm just passing the message or reiterating the message. Why? And the empowerment that I received is only by Srila Gurudev's mercy or Srila Prabhupada. So understanding this every time, at every step of the way, it will help us be a little more alert. And then when we keep on, doing these things again and again, naturally it will come to us at one point that we will not be, trying so hard to not, be affected by these things. It will automatically, even if it automatically comes, we will not feel that, proud of anything or because we understand that this is Gurudev's mercy and Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So, and then just going back to this verse, I was thinking, I know Maharaj, in his lecture, a couple of days before, he also said that according to this Gaudiya Vaishnava Vedic principle of how to, conceive a child, is when this man and a woman tries to get united to beget a child or Krishna conscious children, then they first have to take Guru's blessings and chant, both of the parties should be chanting 50 rounds at least before the union. So when this union occurs, I was thinking, so what is the point of this? So it's like, because when this union occurs then at that time, it's not the lusty desires or tendency to enjoy our senses, but it's really to, think Krishna, think of Krishna, and then having that goal in our minds. And when we're having this union, it definitely would create these Krishna conscious children. And, that's the whole point of why chanting this 50 rounds, because it really purifies our self. When we speak the Lord's name, when we chant the Lord's name, it has this strong, ability to purify our existence. So that is why it's recommended in Gaudiya Vaishnava in this Vedic way that we should be, having this union. So it could be a materialistic activity that we may think, but like Gardama Muni, he went through so much strong tapasya for those 10,000 years, or 60,000. I forget the exact amount, but so much. The point is he went through so much tapasya, and then when he became fond, of his wife, just to have this end goal result, like, okay, I want to get a child because that's what I had promised, and then I will leave this married life. So two things: being aware of these pitfalls, understanding them, and then how to redirect. Initially we need to understand, to be cognizant and redirect these stories so we don't get attached to them subtly. And then at the end, also understanding that what is our end result, end goal. Our end goal is to develop this love for Krishna. So when we want to develop love for Krishna, all these are like little things that come in our way. So keeping the end goal in mind will also help us keep on progressing and rowing forward that boat of devotional service, versus being stuck and being anchored by this Ujala Pratishtha, any good things that may come. And as I said, of course, the miseries, it's very easy to, understand, but when these good things come, it is very subtle and we may not understand. So it's really important to be cognizant of that. So with this, these were just some of the points that I was thinking of while reading these verses. And, I want to apologize if I made any mistake in delivery of any of the points. But at this time, we can see if there is any kind of discussion or any sharings that anyone would like to share. Thank you. Hare Krishna. If not, Prabhu, we can end the call. Prabhu, are you, I'm not sure if you're,
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Very nice class, Mataji. Yeah, you are trying to say that we have to make our lives as a center of, like Krishna as a center and go around, not just thinking of material activities. That is nice class, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for sharing your reflection. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Very good to see and hear you, Mataji. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, I think we can end this call. I think Prabhu is not, he might be in a meeting or something. So, oh yeah, he got into another call. Okay, so we can end this call. Thank you so much for attending. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Undapati Vaishnavendra ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.